It's good to get a parts list off eBay for your bike. That way you can record what you want and take it into the Yamaha shop, see if they still got the parts. Also a owner's manual, so you know exactly how you want to service it, what tolerances. I do have a workshop manual for the earlier model, and that should be close enough. An example why it's handy to have a parts list is I could not find a chain guard that wasn't under $250, so this 175 one is dirt cheap, and if you check it against the part numbers, and an example of that is the first three are the type of bike it is and to some degree the country, part number, variations of it, and colour. Check it out in your parts book, and basically what it says there is that apart from the first three numbers being different, one US, one Australia, 175-400, the parts the same, design changes at none, colour black as black, so all good. The idea is not to molest this bike, just service it and keep using it, and the next owner can always restore it. That's not what I'm here for. I went to the local men's shed for retired engineers, and they reckon lanolin would do the job of preserving something without putting any kind of coating. It can always be washed off, always painted later, and protect at the same time. So lanolin's going to be it. I do know penetrol, and I will use penetrol, but only where you can't see it, and it's very good for total barrier. Because I don't have any experience in lanolin, I just want to do a few experiments. This is the bottom of the tank where the seat rubs against. Had a bit of light rust on there. I sort of rubbed that off lightly, and then put on lanolin and penetrol. On the right hand side is all lanolin, but the top half of that section is rubbed off, so it's dull. Bottom half is left shiny. On the left hand side it's penetrol sprayed on there, but on the top half, when it's been on there a while and started to dry, I've rubbed it so it makes it dull and not shiny. I'll leave it now for a while and have a look at it and just see what happens. The middle section there is just rust left as it is. The tip of the exhaust is a bit bent up, so I want to smoothen that out, but I don't want a lever on the bottom to pull the top out. So the best thing I've come up with is just get a bolt, and the wide flange on there can sit on the bottom of where the baffle sits, which is quite strong. That's an end plate there. So if I just sit the bolt in there, use just any piece, something round would do the job. Sit the bolt in there, put that in there, wedge it, just work your way around. Don't do it in a hurry, bit by bit, all good. It'll slowly come out like this and everything will be nice. As part of my process of getting to know lanolin, I've covered the whole silencer in lanolin, but just for this experiment I'll just spray it again on one spot. When you spray it with lanolin, the reddy rust colour just sort of goes dark, so you don't notice the rust. It's still there, but you just don't notice it so much. If I can work out that lanolin is good for covering a whole expansion chamber, then that'll be the product I use, and it won't sort of burn off. I have used penetrol in expansion chambers, and it's not so good around the front part of the header. It just sort of burns away. But by this I can tell what lanolin's going to do. I don't want it to go cherry red. I just want to make it hot enough that it's going to react in any way it is going to react, and see what happens from there. Doesn't seem to have done anything. It's a bit hot when I wipe my finger on there, but I'm happy. I can cover a whole expansion chamber, then it should be good. Penetrol will have its application in this bike. An example of how handy it is this is just water, and I just put on a sheet of toilet paper, and you can see how it blots, and same amount on a toilet paper, and it starts to blot, but we'll leave it and come back to it. I also want to be careful how I clean this bike. I don't want to use any metal, because if I use a metal it's too abrasive and scratches everything. So everything I'm going to use for scrubbing the parts, then fine cleaning, is just going to be nylon based. I'm not going to use anything that's metal based. Well, I'll come back to it, and it hasn't grown much yet, but we'll have a look at it sometime later. This is 5 minutes later, and you can see how the penetrol circle has grown bigger than what the water one was. The water started to evaporate, but it's bigger now. The advantage of penetrol is that it creeps. It's 3 times thinner than water. It creeps underneath rust or anything like that, and it'll just exclude the oxygen. It takes 3 days to dry properly, but once it has, it's a barrier, and it just won't rust there again. Also, the advantage is that it's clear. Where the silencer connects with the expansion chamber, it's just a little rubber boot that goes over the top of both of them. When I look in there, it was a little bit rusty, so I cleaned the rust off, and you can see it's pitted probably about halfway through the metal. So for this application, you won't see it, so I won't need the lanolin, but I'll use the Penetrol here. Penetrol's not as good with heat, but this is far enough away that it shouldn't be a problem, and it'll just all stop rust thereafter.